Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. What's going on, guys? Now, Floyd Money Mayweather. Mayweather's running his mouth again. Alright? And look, sometimes, Floyd, every now and then, he can drop some gems. He can say some smart stuff every now and then. But this is not one of them times, okay? Recently, a little 53-second clip on Fight Hype came out that we're going to listen to in a second. It came out. They asked him about Gennady Golovkin. They asked him about Kell Brook, who, by the way, he's intentionally saying his name wrong. Kell Brock. He's calling him Kell Brock. He's not Kell Brock. The only Brock there is in boxing is Calvin, alright? So, with that being said, yeah, man, he says two things that are pretty inflammatory. Number one, he probably hasn't watched the fight, so he's probably going off what everybody says, because I shared the same viewpoint with him when I watched the fight the first time, until I told the post-fight interviews. But he said he doesn't think the corner should have stopped the fight with a broken eye socket. I mean, when has Floyd ever fought with a broken eye socket against a hard puncher, pound for pound hardest puncher in boxing? That hasn't happened. So he's in no position to talk about what Kell Brook's corner should or shouldn't have done. But this is the worst part, right? He then turns around and he says that Gennady Golovkin, that we're waiting for the Gennady Golovkin to move up in weight like every other champion in boxing. And it's funny because Floyd moved up in weight. Yes, we're going to definitely say moved up in weight. But when did Floyd ever fight an A-level prime fighter? He didn't. Never. In fact, and you guys know this to be true just based on what he and many other Mayweather fans will say are his toughest fights to date, which are Emmanuel Augustus and DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley. Now, both of those guys are not A-level fighters by any stretch of the imagination, but they were Floyd's hardest fights. Floyd didn't have any hard fights against, the guys he did fight like Maidana, Cotto, Manny, he fought them all in Vegas. Never fought him on an even playing field. And, we all know he had USADA in his back pocket. That's been well documented before by people who can document that better than I can. So you guys can go look those videos up. But, yeah. Now, he says Golovkin needs to move up and needs to take more risks. When Floyd was a guy in his career who never really took that many risks. He was a guy that, for the most part, for the majority, the entirety of his career, that fought the highest, he fought the lowest risk fighter for the higher reward. In no instance did Floyd ever fight a guy who was low reward, high risk. Now, you can say what you want. He's a smart businessman. Look how much money he made. That's cool. That's all fine and dandy. But don't talk to these other fighters who are taking the risk, daring to be great, fighting some of the most feared fighters in boxing. Don't talk to those guys, and don't talk about those guys like you yourself were in a position where you fought the best. Now, look, I ain't from the West Coast, I ain't from Vegas, and I ain't from LA. All right, I'm somebody from South Florida, and the reason I give you guys, I'm giving you a geographical statement right now while I'm saying LA, Vegas, South Florida, is because I've seen some things in the boxing world recently. All right, and I noticed some things as far as like the way people talk about Floyd, particularly in the boxing media. Floyd is revered by the boxing media in LA. Floyd is revered by the boxing media in Vegas. So naturally, when talking boxing with anybody who is from Vegas or LA, you will not hear negative things about Floyd. Alright, this is just facts. It's not me hating, these are just facts and my own experiences. But I don't care about that. I'm from South Florida. I got no problem saying Floyd didn't fight nobody, because he didn't. He didn't fight anybody in their prime. He should not be considered a top 30, top 40, and honestly not even a top 50 all-time great. The guy had great skills, but he never tested them. He never took a fight that, like I said, was low reward but very high risk. Ali took them fights. Ali fought George Foreman, a guy who was, very high risk at that time for him. Terrence Crawford did it recently against Victor Postal. A guy who was very high risk. Although it may look easy, very high risk, but low reward, and you guys can see that by the pay-per-view numbers. So with that being said, I'm gonna play you guys a clip from Floyd and dissect it a little bit after that. So here's what Floyd had to say in regards to Kell Brook. Take a listen, guys.
When you really pay attention, like I said before, I don't think when he was fighting Kell Brook, if I was in Kell Brook's corner, I wouldn't have stopped the fight. Honestly. Very, very close fight. Some had Triple G ahead, some had Kell Brook ahead. I probably had Kell Brook ahead by a little bit. But in the sport of boxing, it's about taking risk. I respect Kell Brook for taking risk, going up 2 weight classes, waiting for Triple G to go up and take risk, like every other champion.
All right, now do you hear this? Do you guys hear this? I mean, it's ridiculous. Floyd, like I said, not a guy who took many risks in his career, and a lot of the guys he fought, you know, I interviewed one of them on here earlier this year, DeMarcus Chap Corley. Corley himself told me that when he fought Floyd, Floyd knew that this was going to be a hard fight for him, and it was. But he said that Floyd made him wear like these extra padded gloves, so Corley would hit Floyd with everything he had, but Floyd wasn't really feeling his punches. You know, Corley wasn't a huge puncher, but he wasn't really feeling the full power of Corley's punches, and I think, you know, that played a role in him winning that fight with Corley, because Corley was one of the only guys who could really sit there and make Floyd fight, and he did that very successfully and won a lot of rounds and was putting it on him in certain rounds of that fight. But yeah, who was he to say that, you know, he needs to take a risk? The only risks Floyd ever took out in boxing were all outside of the ring. You know, as far as being outspoken, being a fool, being a buffoon. He took a risk in that regard, but as far as like the guys he fought, he ain't take no risk, man. So let's not kid ourselves. Kell Brook, shout out to him for taking the Gennady Golovkin fight and giving the fans a great fight. Doing more, like, as far as, you know, giving fans what they paid for. Kell Brook's already done more of that in one fight than Floyd did in his whole career. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. Floyd's hating. Can't even say his name right. Says it wrong on purpose. But let me know what you guys think about Floyd's comments. Do you think he's, you know, crazy for saying things like, you know, Kell or Golovkin needs to take more risks, or do you guys think Golovkin should take more risks? Although he really is an undersized middleweight, and honest to God, you know, Marvin Hagler only fought a middleweight his whole career, but you guys never say anything about Marvin Hagler. He's praised. So why do we have that problem with Golovkin? I just want to know. Leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.